It is time to get tied on because we are off and running on a marathon 12-race Belmont Stakes Day here at Gulfstream Park. Good to have you with us, everybody. Acacia Courtney, Jason Blewett alongside. Sun is out, and it's nearly game time at the Gulf.
It is. We have 12 races today. As you said, of course, you can watch and wager on all of the Belmont Stakes Day action right here at Gulfstream. They're already underway with one race already done, and it's certainly going to be a fun day here. As you said, we have the sun, which is a nice change to see out this morning.
Our old friend. It's been a while. It's good to have her back.
That ball of fire in the sky we're so unfamiliar with now.
It only took Belmont Stakes Day for the weatherman and Mother Nature to finally cooperate. And, of course, a happy Belmont Stakes Day to all out there. You can watch and wager and keep track of the big Belmont card up north, a few thousand miles north in the Big Apple, right here all day at beautiful Gulfstream Park. Got a lot to cover here on this Saturday live edition of Gulfstream Today. Let's get the formalities out of the way. And can I take a little bow? Finally!
I bow to
Finally!
you.
Finally! I got a text from my mom last night. She and my dad, they love the game. They live about an hour and a half north of Gulfstream Park in Stewart. And my fiance and I were eating dinner, and I got a text, and my mom said, I think you did it. And sure enough, you gave me the good news when I walked in the door this morning.
You did. Congratulations. Nobody beat the expert this week. We haven't seen that since Raw last summer, but Jason, as I said, bow to you today. A win is a win on Beat the Expert Day, so great job yesterday.
Yeah, there's no coincidence, no matter what anybody says, that we finally won to Beat the Expert, and there were six winning favorites out of that 9-race card yesterday here at Gulfstream Park. You'll be up next Friday. How about a little Irish war cry? New Jersey bred, colt by Curlin. We got to know him quite well all winter long. In fact, he was a dominant winner of the Holy Bull Stakes. This was supposed to be the comeback effort and return to the winner's circle for the 2-year-old champion in Classic Empire, but Irish War Cry had running on his mind. Where do you stand with him in today's Belmont Stakes?
Well, I think he's a must-use. I don't know about right on top. I know he's the morning line favorite, but I think this is kind of a wide-open Belmont. I don't think he's going to be a very short price, and I think if you're using Exacta, Superfecta, whatever it is, he's a must-use for sure. But you can see he was still a little bit green in the stretch in the Holy Bull. We really saw a much more dominant Irish War Cry winning the Wood Memorial. Unfortunately, a world of trouble. I think he was really impacted by his draw in the Kentucky Derby in post 17, the way that gate breaks. I think he's a must-use, but I am going to go elsewhere on top. As I mentioned earlier, I'm on the Taproot bandwagon, but Irish War Cry, the son of Curlin, we know he can get the distance.
Much like his dad did.
Yeah.
Hard to believe a decade ago when Curlin fell just a header or so short of defeating the filly Rags to Riches in one of the best Belmont Stakeses of my lifetime. And best of luck to the New Jersey bred who's trained by one of the good guys in Grand Motion, Irish War Cry. And he's got a good rider on his back who we're glad is back and healthy and injury-free in jockey Rajiv Mirage. Now, a quick rundown on this 12-race card, and we'll start a little earlier than usual on this Belmont Day here at Gulfstream. First race posted around 12:55. Some big, bulky, chunky-sized fields all day long here. We are off the turf for the first, however. That's the only grass race we have lost. The dollar rolling Super High 5 gets underway, and that coincides, Acacia, with the opening leg of the early pick 5. And once again, we have the drum roll in the background, tapping on the desk.
Wow.
Woo!
Almost $800,000. Pretty impressive. It's quite up there. I'm sure it will be well bet today. It's a tough sequence this afternoon, so definitely one that you're going to want to take part of. If you can find an opinion, if you can find some prices, I think that this is a day that you can find some prices in that Rainbow Six sequence, and you do not want to miss out on that carryover. I would not be surprised to see a couple 100,000 bet into it.
I love the sound of that, and way on down the line, around race number 8. In fact, in race number 8, we'll get Saturday's late pick 5 underway. You've got a couple of pick 5 tickets forthcoming on this edition of Gulfstream today, including Acacia's Rainbow Six a bit later and down the line in the show. So let's get into it. I'm up first as far as my early pick 5 play goes, and hunted around, came up with a single in race number 4, and this might just be the horse, the 5 Classy Dancer. Not seeing the board or anything like that many people might just default to for the obvious reasons of Todd Pletcher and a well-bred firster, 2-year-old filly by Speightstown. Single her in the 4th. I'll use 2 here in race number 1. In race number 2, I will go 3 deep in the 3rd. Another 3-bagger, even though I toyed with singling the 4 Grand the Man. More on that in a few moments. And then in the 5th, we'll also use 3, even though I do like the 5 Solfatara quite a bit in there. I think Safi Joseph Jr. may have a big opening half to this Belmont Day card at Gulfstream Park. And why don't we dive into the opening group, Acacia? 7 furlongs off the turf. Again, our only lost grass race on the card is the opener today. It's a 3-and-up $10,000 claimer. And when it comes down to it, you've got a couple of MTOs, 3 altogether, but the 8 Keep Me Grounded and the 9 I'm Stepping It Up draw in. They will be much lower than their current prices by post time, and I think they are the horses to beat.
They are, certainly on paper, and I actually picked against both of them, but I really think that Keep Me Grounded is going to end up taking a lot of the money coming in off the MTO list. He has a win on a wet track. He's definitely good at the 7/8, which I think is why he is slightly above the number 9 I'm Stepping It Up, because I do prefer I'm Stepping It Up at the mile versus the 7 furlongs. Of course, Safi Joseph Jr. does an excellent job. And I think that this one, with the class relief as well, he's just been running against tougher lately. He certainly is one to respect. But I did land on the 7 Starship Frontier. If you look at the last time this horse was on a wet track, it was 7 furlongs on the main track, on the wet track, against $16,000 claimers. He won by more than 7 lengths, and he was very, very happy that day. And that was actually his last win. I know he has some speed. There is some speed, and I'm Stepping It Up. But I just think with C.J. McMahon in the saddle, this might be a horse that off the turf in this first race could be the biggest blessing for him.
I think he's the real race wild card because that race in the slop does stick out like a sore thumb during the championship meet. My only question with him is, why has he run exclusively on the turf since? And is he a horse that likes the dirt only if it's a wet track, which he won't likely get in the opener today? We'll find out. We'll get a few more answers there to your top pick. Tell me a little bit about the 3 Rizwan, who, geez, has not won a race since May 2nd of 2015.
No, he hasn't, but he does have some backlash. He's faced tough stakes competition horses, and he's coming in from Tampa. It's actually his current owners, leading owners at Tampa for the meet, and we'll go back and show this race. It was on the turf, but he was very game in this performance, and he was the number 8 that day, and he was driving 3 wide on the outside, and you can see he was bet down 9-2 that day. Kodiak Cody, who's the number 10, if we could just freeze it right there. Here's the number 10, Kodiak Cody, as a telestrator not working for me right now, but we'll let it go. He's the number 10 on the outside that is closing very strongly. Again, the number 8 Rizwan, he was game to hold on in that performance.
He is a turf horse for the most part, playing a game on the dirt today again, and looking, I think, above all that to cap a very long winless streak, an English Channel winner, Kentucky Derby weekend of 2015. Think about that. His last victory and trip to the winner's circle on a weekend, American Pharoah, was winning the Kentucky Derby. On to race number 2, we head to the turf. That is certainly a nice-sounding statement there. We have 5 grass races scheduled between the 2nd and the nightcap on today's card. 3-and-up $10,000 claimer. You want to take a break? You want a sip of water? Seriously.
I'm good.
You okay?
I'm good, thank you.
She is tough. I've been here a few weeks. She is tough. Anyway, we'll talk about the crew in the 2nd race, led by Barefoot Cove for trainer Ralph Nix. I love the connections involved with this horse. I don't like this stat, which we'll show you. And Ralph Nix does a lot of things well. He's coming in off a 2-win Friday afternoon. But these trainer switches and turf claimers, I think this is a big sample for the kind of stat we're showing. And just 2 for 17 for 12%. Fairly short ROI. That tells me these horses have kind of underperformed. Barefoot Cove, likely favored in race number 2 because of the connections. I think he's vulnerable. I'll take the number 4, Rory on top. Again, haven't been here all that long. I know Acacia's super tough and super dedicated. I also know that trainer Kathy Mungeon does a good job, and I do think she may have claimed a horse that fits. In fact, I believe he fits very well for 10,000, and I do think he's a bit better than his last race, in which he just never had any position from the get-go. If Luca Panici gives him any kind of ride, I think he's going to win the second, and I like him.
All right. Well, thank you for that, helping me through a little coughing attack here. But I agree. I did land on the number 5 Barefoot Cove just because of the significant drop in class in here. I really think that that's going to be the key. Comes out of a strong race with a couple of next out winners. So that's why I did land on that. Rory, I think, has to take a big step forward now, first off the claim. So I'll go with the strong connections of Nix and Zayas in here.
Zayas could have a big day. And again, Ralph Nix coming off a training double yesterday afternoon. On to race number 3 on the program, we head back to the main track, 5.5 furlongs with this 3-and-up 62.50 claiming race, in which the more I looked around, I wasn't completely sold on the inside runner, although I used him defensively in my pick 5, the one Chief Envoy. And I do think the 4 Grand the Man, maybe at this stage of his career, he just prefers being a dirt sprinter. He's in for the 62.50, and look, we're not in the business of knocking anybody, and all careers and all journeys begin at the bottom. I'd like to see a little more from this apprentice rider who's aboard today, but I do think he's sitting on a super live horse who I'm hoping is just a bit better than these, the 4 Grand the Man for me. But you'll take the speedy Chief Envoy who goes from the rail, and he is a likable old veteran.
Yes, he is. A 5-year-old gelding in here, and I agree with you. Grand the Man won on the slop 2 starts back, and I think he's going to be a short price because of that. So I did go with a little bit of the back class of Chief Envoy.
All right, fair enough. Let's move on to the 4th 2-year-olds on this Belmont Day card at Gulfstream Park. Ring in leg number 4 of the early pick 5. We go with the field of 7. These are 2-year-old fillies, in fact, gunning for the top prize of a $50,000 maiden special weight purse. You could take out the 3, Kathy's Clown. Heard she's okay. We'll keep our eye out for her to resurface in the entries in the coming weeks at Gulfstream Park. You can also take out the MTO. And that leaves us again with a guessing game, and I know you picked against the 4 Classy Dancer, probably thinking she was just going to be an overbet favorite for the Pletcher barn, but without having anything super smart to say, that's why I picked her for a trainer who's got 22 wins at the meet, and it just seems, and we sound like broken records, it's amazing in an operation as big as Todd's how gate sharp and how seasoned his 2-year-old firsters are. They come into the paddock, they go to the gate acting like they've done it 1,000 times.
They do, and I think you can see it both physically and mentally. You bring up a good point in that, and how Todd's horses do come to the gate. Cornelio Velasquez in town today to ride. I did land on the number 1 Weekend Mischief. I think that there is some pedigree on the bottom side for Stanley Gold. This is a 2-year-old filly by Into Mischief. She's out of Weekend Magic, who is, of course, multiple graded stakes winner, 3rd in the Grade 1 American Oaks on the turf. So certainly turf pedigree there on the bottom side, and did win going long on the dirt. But I thought with the work tab, as you said, probably an overbet favorite for Todd, thinking that I might be able to find a little bit of a better price in here. Certainly would not leave Todd's horse off those multi-race wagers.
Yeah, and we'll look forward to your expertise, our eyes and ears in the walking ring and paddock when these 2-year-old fillies make their debut today in the 4th at Gulfstream Park. Coming up to a break shortly, hang in there. Race number 5, 7 furlongs, 3-and-up, filly mare, 62.50 claimers, as we go with a field of 8 in a spot again where I just thought most signs pointed to trainer Safi Joseph Jr., who, if you don't like Keeker, and I'm not a big fan of horses who are more comfortable on the turf, trying the dirt, I gotta say, Solfatera is at a spot today where I think she is going to win, and why don't we take a look at one of her starts?
Absolutely. We're going to go back to the most recent race. She broke sharply, then settled in a good spot, was closing really wide, and she actually repelled the bid from Venom Girl. I thought it was a good performance from her.
Yeah, no question about it. Now, Venom Girl might be on the downside, so to speak, of her form cycle. She was great all winter long during the championship meet, and maybe not as sharp as she once was, but take nothing away from the victory with the number 5, Solfatera. And I have learned this time and time again from sharp connections like the operation involved with this mare by Wildcat Air in Drawing Away Stable, and even a guy who bats at such a high percentage in Safi Joseph. They don't get cute with her. They don't get overly ambitious. They just jam her back in for the 62.50. And again, if you're not a fan of the 2 Keeker, who I would have liked had had this race been on the turf.
Me too.
I think it just makes Solfatara doubly tough, and I even had toyed singling her or even pressing her in the early pick 5.
I do think that she's a potential single, and you bring up a great point that they just put horses where they can be successful, and that's the biggest key. Now, Smoke in the Bottle, who hopefully we've got the ice-cold super here in the 5th race. Smoke in the Bottle, I just really think it's as simple as the class drop. The race last time out was really not horrible because she was running against the likes of Pink Mama, who's just been in exceptional form lately, the speedy Artie's Bourbon Girl, and she was 4th in there. Now, Pink Mama won by 6, and that was, I think, against a notch tougher than what she'll face today.
All right, and Keeker, by the way, who's likely to take money off a string of respectable turf races, just one for her last 19 as far as wins. She doesn't get it done all that often, and again, thought she was vulnerable, as did you. We'll try to beat her in the exact in race number 5. 6th race, and we're just about halfway home on this long but a good Belmont day here at Gulfstream Park. 7.5 furlongs on the turf with this 3 and up $16,000 claiming race. Had a couple of scratches in the body of this race, and keep in mind the MTOs are still in many of these races. Again, you just don't know what the weather could be from the next minute to the minute here in Hallandale Beach. And of course, Pete Aiello keep you up to speed all afternoon long with the Gulfstream scratches and changes. Who do you like here in race number 5? In fact, I see, or race 6, I see you and I like the same runner, the number 9, Mr. Pinocchio.
Well, besides having one of the best names around, I just think he spotted well in here today. He was actually entered on the 9th in a starter allowance race. We'll run in here where I think he's much better spotted. And last time out, I think that he was running against maybe some tougher competition, even though it was the same level. I think top to bottom, the field maybe was a little stronger. He did drift in the stretch, and it looks like after that extended layoff, it's taken him a couple starts, but he's in a good spot, meets the right field today, and it would be great if he would win by a nose, because that'd be fun to say. It
would be, and I know you're telling the truth there with Mr. Pinocchio as B and Cone and Montalvo team up there from an outside post. And speaking of an outside post in race 6, we did lose a potential speedster in the 10 Dream Shot. That being said, I still think we get some pace down towards the rail with Mr. Jordan and the number 2 Moon Stricking, and I think our horse still gets enough speed to close into Mr. Pinocchio for Acacia and I in race number 6 as we take what?
Well, we had a video for Contour Mar,
Oh, let's talk about Contour
The
Mar.
number 7 Contour Mar beaten just a nose last time, and I think we should show this video because he probably will take money off of that performance. Not much gate speed from him, and you mentioned the potential of some speed in here. He's the number 7, but he was closing very wide. You can see him out there. Big performance from him. Yeah,
as Antonio Sano looks to run a horse who, man, this is a barn that gets them in pretty good form and likes to really strike when the proverbial iron is hot. Horses from this operation seem to really thrive and actually improve the more they race, and you got a good effort in defeat. Losing a tough one at 12-1. Maybe that's the one negative if you were trying to, play devil's advocate
that
here.
Would be the day to bet him.
Yeah, you got 12.5-1. He won't be anywhere near that price coming back today for the Sano barn with Miguel Vasquez. You and I both have him in the mix. We also have Menahoon in our trifecta here for trainer Harry Benson. He may actually get first run with Juan Lave on the speed.
I would expect him to be forwardly placed. Now, he doesn't win very often, but he's always right there, so that's why I used him in the top 3.
Why don't we take a little break? Acacia's Rainbow 6. That's right, kicks off in race number 7. Nearly $800K already in the pool, and we'll have it for you after this quick timeout.
At ExpressBet, we celebrate the champions that make horse racing great. That's why we provide more ways to bet from more places than ever. We've built an entire family of brands to give players more of the rewards they deserve, give bettors the information they need to win, and provide a community for horse bettors. Because the best way to support the champions of horse racing is to champion horse racing. ExpressBet, we are racing.
We're We're back on this live Saturday edition of Gulfstream today. Sun is out. We are fast and we are good at beautiful Gulfstream Park. Jason and Acacia joining you down the stretch. Race number 7, fairly late in the afternoon, but it is the opening leg of the Rainbow Six on this 12-race program. And what are we putting forth here with the ticket?
All right, a little bit more than I normally do. I'm going to go 51-20 because I could not find a single. I thought there were many more potential singles in the earlier part of the card versus in the later part of the card. But if you have an opinion, you can single, have at it, and maybe spread in a couple other races. But as I mentioned earlier, I think there's a lot of opportunity for value in this sequence, which is great because nearly $800,000 you want to get in on that. So just using 2 with the 5 Poopsie Doopsie and the logical favorite, the number 9 My Girl's Success to kick things off, spreading with 4 in the 8th, then 2 by 2 by 2 and 4 in the finale. I couldn't really find anybody to single. I toyed with singling Coxon in the 9th, but ended up backing myself up with Little Nappy. So we'll see how that goes for me, 51-20.
Yeah, Ron Fauché has got a Coxswain who, after scratches, I mean, really looks like a legit favorite and a horse. In fact, I will single in the late pick 5, and we'll show you that ticket after we pick our way through race number 7. And I am certainly pleased to see in this big field you use 2 horses, including my top selection in the 7 today, and that being the number 9, My Girl's Success. This is the kind of race, I think, as you look around, you're looking to maybe grasp onto 1 or 2 solid angles. And for me, and hopefully for you, I think we've got one with trainer Alex Rendon, who does not operate a big stable as far as numbers go, and I think that makes the following statistic that more noteworthy. This is a trainer that's basically just straight down the middle. He's done solid work. First start off, trainer changes, batting almost 20%. You see this is not a barn, a household name, so to speak, that attracts a ton of money. So I like the positive ROI and kind of a new face here at Gulfstream Park, running for the 10,000. I will take My Girl's Success. I hope succeeds in race number 7. Where'd you go for the top spot?
And it's a great stat, and I think it's really worthwhile because most of his string is at Tampa. We're not really as familiar with him here at Gulfstream, but I liked this horse, and I would not leave her off, but she's a 5-year-old mare with just 4 starts, and she was beaten, bet down 80 cents to the dollar last time, kind of stuck in second gear. I did land with a horse. It's this name that always kills me, the number 5, Poopsie Doopsie, for Dave Brady, and she's another one that I've been chasing for a bit, been kind of stuck in second gear, but I think that race last time out was actually pretty strong at 6-1. I think you'll get a better price on her, the favorite, so I'm going to give her one more try, but again, using both of them.
She's got a chance. I know you like saying her name, and she'll take on a big field in race number 7. Let's turn the page. A little late 5 time on this Belmont Day 2017 at Gulfstream Park. Race number 8. We're way down the backstretch out of that 1-mile chute with this 62.50 3-and-up claimer. These are the Colts and Geldings, a number of rematches in the cards today. In fact, the horses I'm going to use in this opening leg of the late pick 5, they're basically all coming out of the 3rd race here on May 21st. We will have that replay for you as well. Moving on to race number 9 with scratches. Ron Fauché is really, I think, by quite a large margin, has the horse to beat in the 8 Coxswain. That'll be the sort of center, the anchor in my late pick 5 ticket that has quite a bit of spreading in the surrounding legs for a total of $36 for a 50-cent play. And getting on to Madru and the crew that ran here on May 21st. You take the good with the bad. Madru's just 1 for the 19, but in hindsight, I think this was a very good effort a few weeks ago on the main track at Gulfstream Park, where he forced the issue outside over a track that was heavily tilted down towards the inside. Looks like he's got Magnanimous Mind, who turns him back dead to rights, turning for home. And you could see as this race and even the other races on the dirt progressed throughout the day, that rail was just carrying horses.
It was, and I think you bring up a great point in there. Magnanimous Mind, the number 6 on the inside, he had the lead, and Madrus was right there. Ultra Game 3rd, way back the number 5 in that race was Silver Spun, who will also be in here. I thought of that. Madrus coming in very strong. Now, talk about a long time between drinks. It's been a while since he has seen the winner's circle, which was one of the big reasons I didn't put him on top. But I think off of that performance, Carlos Montalvo in the saddle once again. He's been in solid form lately, and you absolutely have to respect him.
So you're trying to upset things here. I didn't see the morning line price of the 4 Leverkusen, but I would imagine he'll be an okay price. fast track today? Does that kind of float your boat with the horse who has never won on the dirt?
No, he hasn't won on the dirt before, but I think he has class to work with, and I think that he's actually going to be just fine on the dirt. So I think dropping down to the 6250 is really going to be key for him. He didn't run poorly on the slop last time, so I think he could be okay today.
All right, you're off the layup. At what price is he? 8 to 1, I see?
4 to 1.
4 to 1. All right. Well, we'll see if he takes some play. I like the horses again that faced each other back on the 21st. Let's move on. Don't worry, we've only got a few more to go. In fact, the late pick 4 begins on the 9th race today. 3 and up, 62.50, 2 lifetime, field of 7 post scratches at 6.5 furlongs. I think, to be fair, a race we don't need to spend a lot of time on, where the 8 Coxswain, following the scratches, might just be, as this horse plummets down to 62.50, might just be the fastest horse in here, and it could be as simple as that.
He does, and the number 8, Coxon, I believe is Coxon clear out of a mare named Clear Sailing. The reason I know this, one of my best friends in college was on the crew team, and she was a coxswain, which steers the boat. So coxswain, I was schooled on that pronunciation many times.
Clever name.
In college. So coxswain in here, dropping down. The last dirt race I thought was much tougher and very strong off of a layoff. So absolutely, and with that early speed, the horse to beat.
Right, little Nappy again might be the main danger for our buddy Carlo Veccareza, but that horse has not been out in over a year. Looking forward to what you have to say with that returning filly who is in for the 62.50. On to race number 10 here as we head further down the home stretch on this 12-race card. Field of 6 awaits in this Florida-bred 3 and up filly mare, a other than allowance optional claimer. What do you do? Who do we get? What's the deal with the 2 Worth Avenue, who, man, you talk about the ebb and flow of the game, and no matter what your skin or stake in the game, it's a tough one. We love it, but it's the toughest, greatest game played outdoors. And you look at Worth Avenue, I mean, you're almost dealing with a Jekyll and Hyde kind of filly.
You really are, and her first couple of races were so dominant, and then she was beaten at a short price. She wasn't quite the same in her last 2. I picked her today, would not single her.
Yeah, I don't think as a single, because she will be an overwhelming favorite off the strength of her first 2 races. I just don't know, even though we both picked her, as far as a single status goes, how much I would fully trust her. This is a very pivotal race today for Worth Avenue with a filly who I think, to be blunt about it, is really searching for and seeking an identity. Richie's sister has got some talent. She might be the second best horse on paper, yet she's a question mark on the dirt, and that led Acacia Eye into the direction of True Motion, who's outside, who has some early speed. Why don't we get on to race number 11 here? Late double begins. We're on the turf for the late double on this Belmont Day at GP. Mile to 16th, grass, 3 and up, 12.5, a maiden claimer. Are you in a forgiving mood with the number 1, Chasing the Dream? Because I picked this horse, you of course, and I'm the resident chalk-eating weasel. I'm assuming off the loss at 3 to 5, you just said, I've had enough.
I have. I've been burned a bit by this one, and we'll go back and show the replay for the number 9 in here, Exclusive Reward, and a big reason why I did pick this horse instead. Tide of the Desert, the 8, was so far ahead early. Exclusive Reward kept trying to close that gap.
Yeah, indeed, and came up just a length and change short that afternoon, but that was the second consecutive race where I think this horse, who's trained by Francisco D'Angelo, paired up good efforts. So I don't think consistency is a question today, and that is certainly a feather in the cap of the 9 Exclusive Reward, who, by the way, gets the blinkers on and may land into a pretty good trip. In fact, he might be close up and perhaps tracking or right off the flank of the 1 Chasing the Dream, and maybe from there down to the wire in a race you and I, with different winners on top, we think they're going to prove the 2 best and 2 fastest. Maybe it's just a case of who is the fastest horse between Chasing the Dream and Exclusive Reward.
It certainly could be, and I love that Exclusive Reward gets the blinkers on today. You could see him kind of moving his head around in the stretch last time out, and I think that could help him with some focus. And I don't think there's going to be a runaway leader on early on in the race like Tide of the Desert was last time.
No question. All right, let's move on to race number 12. In fact, all journeys come to an end, and here's your Saturday nightcap. We've got a scheduled post in the program at about 6:40 p.m. We'll get you out of here as far as the live racing goes, give or take around 7 o'clock tonight, and we hope you have a great day with us at Gulfstream Park. And the card with a group of 3 and up $10,000 claimers. I love it. I thought the inside 4, I thought this was where all the serious firepower was, but you are way to the outside. What do we like about the 11 Wolf Dance, who, you know what, as I flip 4 or 5 pages into the PP, this horse taking a drop in class, and I'm remiss to not have him in the top 4. Good job by you.
Thank you, and it is still a guess, I know that, but this is a horse I followed throughout the championship meet, and having an outside post, there are a lot of strong runners to the inside, but this is a mile and a 16th, not as tight into the first run as opposed to a mile or 7.5 furlongs on the turf, so I don't mind the post so much. Gets in with a scratch to his inside, and the drop in class will be key. Well, that race last time out, that $16,000 claimer was incredibly strong. You had a blanket finish of about 5 horses. Amberjack, just such a tough, hard-knocking old horse that we all really respect, and he was only, Wolf Dance only beaten a length and a half that time. He had success against Tougher again throughout the championship meet, and the drop in class in here for Joe Orsino, Gilbert Tomafi should be the key.
I've quickly learned these $10,000 claimers, much like the 16 claimers you just mentioned with Wolf Dance, come up extraordinarily tough races here at Gulfstream Park on the turf. A number of familiar foes are squaring off, including Big Money Machine and All Hundreds. They have inside posts. You've got them in the mix, as do I. And in fact, I like Big Money Machine on top. And why don't you take us through? In fact, we'll pick this one up. We'll roll the tape as Big Money Machine was the number 2 horse that afternoon, right?
He was the number 1. The number 2 in the gray and the white silks is All Hundreds, both of them in here. And All Hundreds broke sharply, kind of settled back, but you can see him making an earlier move. Big Money Machine with the yellow blinkers is the 1 horse that day. He's closing outside. Now, Big Money Machine is a little goofy. He always stays on the horse path, but I think he has a lot of talent if he can get the right trip and kind of keep his head on straight. I thought this was a good race from both of them.
Yep.
But Big Money Machine, slow fractions he closed into last time,
It's
too.
a very evenly matched field in the nightcap. We will end saying probably the obvious, that trip and racing luck, probably paramount over anything else, what transpires out there for race number 12 today. And we're not looking to go anywhere. We've got a dozen up, and it'll be a fun one here at Gulfstream Park. Acacia, myself, Ron Nicoletti with you all day long in the paddock. Pete Aiello, the track announcer here at Gulfstream, the voice of GP, will be up next with the opening set of Scratches and Changes.